Good morning and welcome all of you for our Zoom webinar titled India Rebooting. I am Paras Bothra and we have with us a very special guest, Mr. Navneet Munot, Executive Director and Chief Investment Officer. Mr. Munot joined SBI Funds Management as Chief Investment Officer in December 2008. He has over 25 years of rich experience in financial markets. In his current role, he is responsible for overseeing investment worth over $100 billion across various asset classes in mutual fund and segregated accounts. In his previous assignment, he was the executive director and head multi-strategy boutique with Morgan Stanley Investment Management. Mr. Navneet Munot is the chairman of Indian Association of Investment Professionals, India Society of CFA charter holders with over 3,000 members. He is postgraduate in accountancy and business statistics and a qualified chartered accountant. He is also a charter holder of the CFA Institute. We are pleased to have him on the webinar today. It has always been a pleasure to hear his wisdom in the world of finance and investing. His sharp reading on global macro trends, along with a strong hold on domestic micro, has always been truly inspiring and an insightful learning for all of us. I'm sure today's webinar is going to be one more inspiring session, and it will surely help us steer through these uncertain times. Thank you, Mr. Navneet Munot, for joining us.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Great. So before we start the Q&A, I would like to introduce Ashika Group briefly. So the thing is, we are a quarter of a century old financial house, having pan-India presence and deep-rooted presence in Northeastern region in retail broking. With over 1 lakh clients, 350 plus partners across India, our investment in technology in the last few years have made us digitally equipped to adapt to the presently changing business landscape. Also, we are empaneled with almost 100 institutions and serving 200 plus family offices. We are into investment banking, wealth management, AIF, mutual fund distribution, NBFC funding, and other financial services. We have received awards and accolades for the best broking house in Eastern region from NSC, highest DP in Eastern region from CDSL, and the list goes on like this. Now, so to cut it short, I'll straight away move to the agenda today, and the title is India Rebooting. So the thing is, the structure of the webinar is going to be a Q&A session where I'll put up some of the questions to him. And then after that, we'll take questions from participants. And the thing is, Mr. Munot, I've spoken to him that he's comfortable both in Hindi as well as English. So many of our participants are retail investors as well. So they would love to hear from you in Hindi as well. So let's start it. And the first question which I would like to ask Mr. Munot is about the headline and the topic itself, that is India Rebooting. On one side, there is a lot of positivity with regards to unwinding of the lockdown and the pent-up demand coming in, capacity utilizations ramping up. And on the other side, there are also negative pictures as well. When we talk about, that is, MSMEs have serious issue, and that is not a liquidity crisis. Probably it's going to be a solvency crisis related to employment. The unemployment rates are going to go up. Banks are reluctant to lend. Migrant laborers probably may not come up. So these are some of the pertinent questions, and the answer to it is somewhere in between. We don't have a clear handle on the things at present. And so the thing is, for a country like India, which is like a giant elephant, and to make it stand up and dance in such a conflicting situation, how do you read it, all these things? And what is your thought on the micro at present of India, macro?
Sure. So thank you. There are so many questions there. I'll try to be brief so that we keep it very interactive. But still, because there are so many things that maybe you would have put up in that question, one single question, India Rebooting. Right. So I think the public discourse has clearly moved from survival only to revival also. So this came as a complete shock in the month of February and March, and the whole world didn't realize what has hit the humanity, because this is once in a century kind of crisis, and there were different kinds of reactions. There were countries which took some time to announce a lockdown. India, I think, was one of those who took a lead in terms of announcing a very stringent lockdown, which helped us in containing the damage on the health side. But when you're doing a lockdown, you create a supply shock because you've closed, let's say, a shop or a factory or a mall or a travel. And then it also creates a demand shock. Even if you want to go and buy something, you are not buying, or you are worried about the future, or you are worried about your income. And as it is, you cannot go out and consume. So the stringency of lockdown creates a big challenge on the economy side. Now the government's role everywhere in the world, wherever they did it, how do you contain the damage on the economy side? And the way to do it is to provide a lot of stimulus to the economy. So monetary stimulus has been unleashed, which is absolutely unprecedented in history. This is bigger than what we have done even after 2008 global financial crisis. And fiscal stimulus everywhere in the world has been absolutely unprecedented. Maybe if you have interest, we can talk more about the global monetary policy, global fiscal, where I see the global markets going. But as of now, I mean, let's straight jump to what's happening in India. So from a stimulus perspective, initially we were quite low relative to the rest of the world. But then, I mean, you heard about the 20 trillion package. A large part of that is monetary stimulus. Good part of it is in the form of guarantees, etc., which is basically to create a multiplier effect to what the RBI has announced. So RBI has released 8-9 lakh crores of liquidity. Now all these guarantees for MSME loans or agri credit, etc., is to ensure that banks feel comfortable and go and lend that money. So all the guarantees, etc., which was a large part of the fiscal stimulus, were intended towards that. And the total spending on things like NREGA, which I believe is like one of the best things to spend money today, because you create jobs, you give money to somebody who's going to spend immediately, so you get consumption back, and in the process you also create the capital asset. I hope that we spend more money on that. But I mean, there is a fiscal constraint in India. And the third part of the stimulus, monetary stimulus, second, I mean, where the money is getting spent or maybe guarantees are given. The third part is the reforms, which is from a medium-term perspective is the most important, because we must keep in mind there has been a lot of monetary space in India. Fiscal space is very, very limited. So government cannot really just go and spend money in a berserk manner. So the third part is the reforms, and that's where I mean, whether the divestment of or the strategic divestment of PSUs, whether it's the coal mining opening up, whether it's related to the state government reforms, where incremental borrowing of state government is contingent on they achieving certain criteria. कि आपको वन नेशन वन राशन कार्ड इंप्लीमेंट करना है, आपको अर्बन डेवलपमेंट में आपका स्कोर, ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस में स्कोर, यू नीड टू हैव डिस्कॉम रिफॉर्म, सो ऑन एंड सो फोर्थ. तो आप जैसे जैसे करोगे यू कैन बोरो additional amount of money. So wo is a good thing, like a cooperative federalism. All of these, and then particularly in the agriculture, which I feel could be really path breaking, and we can discuss separately about the rural economy, and I feel positive, unless जो migrant laborer अभी जा रही है अगर वो disease लेके चले जाती है, we have to really contain that. Otherwise rural economy में जो reforms हो सकते हैं, particularly तो agriculture में दो challenge है इंडिया में, एक है price discovery और दूसरा है वैल्यू एडिशन. वैल्यू एडिशन नहीं है, प्राइस डिस्कवरी डिस्टॉर्टेड है. तो उसको जो डिसमेंटलिंग ऑफ एसेंशियल कमोडिटीज एक्ट, डिसमेंटलिंग ऑफ एपीएमसी, एंड इफ यू पुट अदर रिफॉर्म्स, देयर कुड बी ह्यूज इन्वेस्टमेंट इन एग्रीकल्चर. India can reduce imports, India can be a large export power, we can do a lot of value addition, and rural economy could be a good driver of growth. So the reforms ka, I mean the stimulus ka the third part reforms, and I hope there is a lot more we have to do. Judicial reforms, administrative reforms, the Prime Minister talked about liquidity, which I would say financial sector reforms, regulatory reforms, all of that we need to do, and I hope, and मैं हमेशा बोलता हूँ that reforms always happen out of compulsion, not out of conviction. So the compulsion of this slowdown, compulsion of India having a recession, first time in a generation or probably first time in our history, can lead to very, very interesting reforms, can lead to very interesting opportunities. 91 is a great analogy, where the BOP crisis, where we had to pledge our gold as a country, led to liberalization and opening up of the economy. This can also be that moment where world is in a trouble, India's economy is also going to degrow. We can come with interesting reforms. I'll just take 2-3 more minutes. That what are, so while there are 3 big challenges, if you want to discuss in more in detail, we can do that. Our fiscal capacity to grow is very, very limited. Though still my view is that because the private sector will not invest, households will be conservative, businesses are deferring their expenditure or capex. Government is the only balance sheet that can spend, on bold होकर के RBI से directly borrow करके spend करना चाहिए. But even then, एक limitation है, size of the economy देखोगे और fiscal की जो situation है तो limitation है. So from that perspective, one, that is a challenge for India. फाइनेंशियल सेक्टर इंडिया का इतना स्ट्रॉन्ग सिचुएशन में नहीं था कंपेयर टू सम ऑफ द अर्लियर क्राइसिस, एंड दैट्स व्हाई वी हैव सीन बैंक्स आर वेरी वेरी रिस्क एवर्स। एनबीएफसी एचएफसी सेक्टर में प्रॉब्लम है, जो रियल एस्टेट ऑटोज वगैरह में प्रॉब्लम थी, उसकी वजह से भी एनबीएफसीज एचएफसीज बैंक्स आर कंजर्वेटिव। सो ऑलरेडी देयर वर सम चैलेंजेस, सो दिस इज आल्सो रिफ्लेक्टिंग इन हायर क्रेडिट स्प्रेड्स, हायर बॉन्ड डील्स। बॉन्ड डील बहुत नीचे होने चाहिए यहाँ से जहाँ भी है, पर हो नहीं पा रहा है बिकॉज ये फिस्कल चैलेंज है और एक फाइनेंशियल सेक्टर चैलेंज है। और दूसरा चैलेंज इंडिया का कि ग्रोथ पहले से ही स्लो थी। ये स्लो डाउन, अपना लॉकडाउन तो हैपेंड इन लाइक लास्ट 2 or 3 weeks of the March, but if you look at the March GDP data, almost 7 or 8 quarters we were in a slowdown, though we were about to just kind of get a revival of the economy, but then again this crisis has come. But I'll just take 3-4 minutes to outline a couple of positives I see. One is that I said maybe interesting reforms may happen which otherwise would not have happened. Monetary policy has unleashed unbelievable amount of liquidity. We never had this kind of liquidity in the banking system. We had for a few weeks after the demonetization when banks got that cash. But again, I mean, the liquidity which RBI has unleashed, the rate cuts that have happened, I mean, we were at like 8% or so, and now we are talking about 4% in last 3 or 4 years, from 8 to 4% at short-term yields. I mean, it's a very, very big fall. 2 or 3 big positives about India. The global geopolitics will lead to a lot of positives for India. I think I call it a Y2K movement for India. And when we are talking about India revoting, we can discuss more about how this can be a Y2K movement for India. India's second, third or fourth, whatever, is that India's external balance sheet is in a very good shape this time. $480-85 billion of reserves. This year, we may have a marginal current account surplus or a small current account deficit. The small benefit from lower crude oil prices. Government is very focused on this vocal for local, will bring down our import bill. And external situation is in a good shape. I am arguing, why don't we use our foreign exchange reserves more boldly, more creatively? Something should be done. Another positive for India is a big digital revolution which is underway. We talk about our demographics, democracy, demand, so many things, but the most powerful D in India today is digitalization. This Facebook's investment and other investment have to be looked at from a different angle. We can discuss more about it. And rural economy I've talked about, I think is in a relatively better shape that can help sustaining the consumption, large part of the economy. At least in terms of number of people who are dependent on the rural economy, will allow government to have some space left to use the resources somewhere else. So some of these are structurally positive for India. It could be a once in lifetime opportunity for India when you look at the entire world, what it is going through, the animosity towards China, the animosity towards, I mean, each other world over. If you see, every country is trying to localize, every country is becoming more and more isolationist, more and more protectionist. There could be very interesting opportunities for India. So I will just end with one sentence: tough times don't last, tough people do. And I think as Indians, we are tough people, and we will outlast this crisis and will come out stronger.
Great. So I'll pick up a couple of points from your deliverance right now. Is one with regard to the stimulus packages and all those things, what India has done and the kind of liquidity when you are saying about it. So when we look at the developed countries, that is US or Europe or Japan, they have had large stimulus packages, right? And those are the stimulus packages which have direct impact on the demand side. Whereas in India, because of the constraint, at the country level we have constraint, at the corporate level we have financial constraint, and at the individual level, because of the incomes coming down, we have constraint. So we don't have resources. But what we have done is we have unleashed the supply side constraints, tried to address that. Whereas developed countries have addressed the demand side concern. And the reason is that the developed countries have performed well in terms of the indices. If we look at, they are closer to all-time highs, but India is struggling, and probably India has done better on the downside in terms of underperformance. So how do you read this? Whether we have done it correctly as far as the reforms are concerned, and where these all things are going to lead us to?
So as I said, this is an unprecedented situation. And even before this crisis, fiscal was not so strong that government had a lot of resources to just go and spend money everywhere. But today is the dilemma. that the private sector, I mean, there are three people who spend money or borrow money or invest money. You have households, you have corporates or businesses, and you have government. Today, both households and businesses will be very cautious because they are seeing so much of uncertainty. एक ही बैलेंस शीट है गवर्नमेंट की जो आज बोरो कर सकती है और स्पेंड कर सकती है या इन्वेस्ट कर सकती है, उसको जोर से इन्वेस्ट करना चाहिए so that you inject capital and you inject confidence. That's very, very important today because private sector, even if you inject capital, I mean, they will not be comfortable. Khali confidence se bhi nahi hoga because you have to put capital. So you have to inject capital and confidence. Government is trying to inject some confidence, but we also have to put some capital also. I mean, some spending has to be done, and that's why I mentioned earlier that demand stimulus thoda aur karna padega. Mujhe lagta hai that I think they are thinking that they don't have a complete picture on what's going to happen on the revenue side. Don't have a complete picture on what kind of expenditures can be cut. For example, food subsidy bill was already very large, is going to be much larger this year. And you cannot have reforms like I talked about one nation, one ration card, etc. Kafi leakages band ho jayenge. But this is a difficult situation to pursue some of these things in 1 year. Government may have to spend a lot more on healthcare. Government may have to spend a lot more with the state governments because everybody will need money. Unke VAT revenues, property tax revenues, or all kinds of revenues will be under pressure. So there are huge challenges. And मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है शायद government's view is that don't exhaust all the arrows today. Keep, I mean, some tools in the armory because we don't know how situation is going to pan out. There is so much of uncertainty. While I'll be on the other side that at this point in time, if we don't spend money, allow the economy to go down, then it can have some bit of medium-term negative impact also. But I guess, I mean, this is a dilemma government has been going through. एक और चैलेंज है इंडिया में, द गवर्नमेंट इज अ लार्ज बोरोर. आई टेल यू फ्रॉम अनदर पर्सपेक्टिव, इट्स इजी टू से कि आप क्यों नहीं बोरो कर रहे हो और क्यों नहीं खर्चा कर रहे हो, व्हाई आर यू नॉट सपोर्टिंग द इकोनॉमी. The total household financial saving that comes in banks, insurance companies, mutual funds, post office, all put together, debentures, shares directly, everything is around 10% of, less than 10% of GDP. State government, central government, PSU borrowing itself will be more than 10% of GDP. Then if government keeps borrowing money, there is very little resources left for the private sector also. So there are a lot of challenges for the government, but I would argue we have to do a little more demand stimulus.
Right. So the other question related to it is and related to the COVID as well, is that there is a liquidity crisis which RBI has resolved to a large extent. But more than that, the SMEs and the MSMEs, they are not formalized, and formalization is a different topic and a debate altogether, how that can be led to reforms. And that is a big part to reform agenda, one big part to it. So now the solvency crisis is there. Now add to it that COVID is not flattening here in India and the cases are rising. Now lockdown already had serious implications, and this is an economic decision, a social decision, as well as a political decision, and have far-reaching impact on the country or the startup of the economy. So now with numbers increasing further, and market has priced in that the second lockdown or the second wave of COVID is not going to come up. Now with numbers going up and lockdown again, if it is imposed, what the implications are going to be, and how should one hedge that kind of risk in the portfolio at present? Because we are going to live in an uncertain world for sure. An unknown and unknowable event is happening.
Yeah. So I think I would only say about the world that the only thing I can say with certainty is continuity of uncertainty.
Oh my God.
ये तो uncertain ही रहने वाला है. Because nobody really knows. I mean, this virus came as a completely, I mean, unexpected or unprecedented. Entire humanity, all 200 plus countries, regardless of weather, climate, immunity levels, it's impacting everybody in the world. So this is a very, very unique crisis. And this will lead to, I mean, incredible transformational changes over the next few years, the way one lives, the way policy evolves, the way society interact with each other in various ways. Absolutely right. As of now, there is no clarity. We don't know when vaccine will come, while a lot of interesting work is happening across the world. Few are ahead, few are behind, but it's still very difficult to predict. We may be lucky we get in 2020. We may be very lucky we don't get quite some time in 2021 also. As of now, Medication, we really don't have a strong answer. Antibody test could be very interesting. My bet actually is on that. Let's see how it kind of evolves and what it can do over a period of time. But मुझे लग रहा है that instead of only waiting for that and saying that we'll remain in a complete lockdown, more innovation has to happen on protective gear, on sanitization, disinfection, so that how can you come back to normalcy, and society has to find a way कि जो old और vulnerable है, comorbidity is the biggest challenge here. How do you take care of that? So politically, socially, we all have to work together to take care of that part of the society so that the rest of the population can come back to normalcy. This is where the public discourse is moving globally, that we have to work on protection rather than wait for a complete cure, because we cannot wait indefinitely. मतलब आज भी कई ऐसी disease है HIV वगैरह जिसकी कोई vaccine नहीं है. So how do you keep waiting for that? And that's why the importance is to the stimulus. You contain the damage, give the confidence to the private sector, and try that the pent-up demand leads to some kind of a V-shaped recovery. That's where policymakers globally are moving in that direction. Markets have run up for a variety of reasons. One is that in March it came as a complete shock. People didn't know what hit them, and that's why and markets were not prepared for it. The volatility across all asset classes was at a multi-decade low in the month of February, because people were expecting a completely normal situation, and it came as absolutely unexpected shock. Uske baad mein, then as you start seeing that things are opening up, we have learned to live with it. That helped us. So I think normalcy coming back, expectations of that, the stimulus is absolutely unprecedented. मैं आपको एक ही बताता हूँ खाली, US Federal Reserve की बैलेंस शीट का साइज था $4 trillion. आज की उसके क्राइसिस के जस्ट पहले. Today that is $7.2 trillion. $3.2 trillion is like 15% plus of the GDP, and plus then fiscal stimulus. So मतलब आपने इतना पैसा डाल दिया मार्केट में, that automatically it will lead to asset inflation immediately. Growth आएगी कि नहीं आएगी वो देखना पड़ेगा. There is expectation that there could be a sharp recovery also because of that money. Almost like a universal basic income आ गया. Unemployment benefit in US is higher than, for some people, is higher than what they can earn in a normal job situation today. And everybody is getting cash, everybody is getting guarantees. So the stimulus is so strong that markets have run up, and that's why people are saying यार बड़ा disconnect लग रहा है. Ground level, when you look at the riots in US, you look at locust attack in India, you look at earthquake and cyclones, you look at rating downgrade, you look at 3 lakh cases, and you look at all of that, and you say that in US it's an all-time high, and most of the stocks basically which are driving US markets are at an all-time high, the Amazon and Apple of the lot. And India also, I just give you one number. On 21st, 22nd March, when as a country we had 300 cases, Nifty was at 8,000. Today, when we have 3 lakh cases, it has gone up 1,000 times. Nifty is at 10,000. So, markets are forward-looking. You got absolutely fearful of unknown, and market was at 8,000. Today, despite 3 lakh cases, you have a faith on human ingenuity. Things will come back to normalcy. Stimulus आ गया है. Globally इतना पैसा print हुआ है, तो foreigners ने invest करना चालू कर दिया है, तो normalcy आ जाएगी. So you are at 10,000. But of course, we'll have to just wait and watch. And जो second wave है, वो I think market के लिए सबसे बड़ी risk है. उस पर अभी तक किसी को handle नहीं है, क्योंकि अभी हमने last कुछ दिनों से, कुछ हफ्ते से जो opening चालू किया है, उसका impact क्या होगा, healthcare system पर कितना impact आएगा, क्या हो सकता है herd immunity build हो जाए, कि हमको ऐसा लगा कि यार ये problem तो हमने बहुत बड़ा ghost बना लिया, इतनी बड़ी नहीं थी. अगर आप proper protective measures ले रहे हो तो mortality rate बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं है. इंडिया में, if I remember correctly this number, 27-28,000 people die every day for various reasons. And if you compare that with the people who are losing their lives, this is a very, very small number, if I remember correctly. So if we learn to live with it properly, we can come out of it and get the normalcy back, but we don't know. In next 10, 15, 20 days, we'll come to know after opening up how the situation evolves.
Okay. So you said that there is a big stark difference in between economic performance and equity market performance.
Currently, but market क्या होता है, वो forward looking होते हैं. And they move from one extreme to another. आप absolute greed पे होते हो और absolute euphoria में जाते हो. So दोनों side मैं नहीं बोल रहा हूँ कि आज greed है या euphoria है. I'm saying markets moved from one extreme to another extreme. We just fell and valuations became so cheap. हम लोग जैसे bond earnings yield spread देखते हैं, market cap to GDP देखते हैं, price मतलब variety of parameters. And in March it became so cheap that whatever happens, I mean, market was looking good to invest from a historical perspective.
Okay. So I was talking to a couple of the FIs, prominent FIs as well. So I was hearing their webinar. So at that point in time, what I learned is that, and their thought process is, they are extremely bullish, not talking about the current state of the economy. They are saying and justifying with the fact that bond yield जो है आज US का, वो 0.7, 0.8 जो भी हो, तो 120 times of your yields you are giving. Whereas coupons पे, whereas India में या earnings देखे S&P का, तो yield is 4% and there is a growth attached to it, but fixed income में there is no growth attached to your yield. So in that way, 22 times trading S&P and 120 times fixed income. So there is no other way except to get into equities, and there is a huge difference, and interest rates are going to stay low. So what is your thought process? And the other also one important thing related to valuation, I'll put it and take the holistic view, is that that intrinsic value of a business for the cash flows when it discounted. What I was hearing is that 5 to 7% of it only gets eroded if earning gets damaged by 1 or 2 years. So this is quite minuscule in the overall scheme of things from a long-term perspective. So how do you look at these all things?
So दो चीज है. First वाला जो आपने बोला, that the difference between the bond yield and the earnings yield. One of the reason equity markets are rising world over is the strong stimulus that we have discussed a couple of times, that the amount of money which has been unleashed by the central banks, on top of that a massive fiscal stimulus everywhere, which is trying to contain the damage. And when you put so much of liquidity, and bond yields have come down to a level where, again, I mean, the long-term bond yields have come down and the central banks are giving a forward guidance. US Federal Reserve ने इस हफ्ते बोला कि हम 2022 तक zero interest rate रखेंगे. And his exact sentence was, we are not thinking about increasing rate. मतलब वो तो हमारे दिमाग में भी नहीं है. We are not going to think about increasing rates. So such a strong forward guidance if you give, you keep saying that I'll keep on pumping more and more money in the market. I will not allow the financial sector financial system to collapse. Then obviously markets can go up, because then you are giving kind of a writing a put option. I mean, you are giving a blank check to the market that go and play the market. I'm there behind it. हमारे वो बोलता है योगक्षेमम आम्यहम. That I'll take care of you. I'm there. I mean, it can backfire in the long run, and that's why there is a reason why people are buying gold. And there is a potential that at some point in time, may not be in 2020, because अभी तो इतना deflation है. 2020 में जब growth आएगी, globally bond yields can go up, because people will start getting worried about so much of government borrowing, so much of government bonds that will get issued in this period. And people will say that, boss, I don't want higher yield to compensate, because हो सकता है inflation आ जाए. That's a longer term discussion that could turn out to be good for the world also. अगर दुनिया में अगर सारी governments, instead of doing what they are doing, spend money on physical infrastructure, social infrastructure, which is healthcare, education, digital infrastructure, create jobs, it could be very good for the world. Or interest rate to be zero, and it can lead to another very interesting kind of growth from 2021 onwards. But as of now, because money is so cheap, it is helping the equity market also. It is not leading to inflation in the goods and services prices, because demand is low, supply is there. It is leading to an asset price inflation, that money is going and chasing assets. That's why credit spreads have come down in US, equity prices have gone up, and जो मैंने बोला कई जो stocks drive कर रहे हैं, they are at an all-time high. US में एक और एंगल है, US का जो composition है market का, you have these, the Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Alphabet, Netflix, Microsoft, they are, and now the Zoom, they are all beneficiary of whatever is happening in the world, because e-commerce is growing, because e-entertainment is growing, because you are using more of Microsoft Teams or Zoom and all of that. So they have turned out to be a beneficiary of this, and there is so much of money, zero interest rate, you go and borrow at zero and do a buyback of your stock.
Right. So when we talk about US market as well, and when we talk about volatility, तो मैं एक data देख रहा था, तो where it is reflected that 20 in US S&P, 20 to 25% of the composition of the index is into this bank stocks and this IT kind of IT related businesses, right? And 20% is into healthcare. So that is well positioned for the defensives of the new world, S&P. Whereas in India, 35% of
Financials are large.
financials. So the cyclical tilt to it is quite large. So, so do you see that the volatility is going to be much higher in India in the interim till the time a solution comes up? Or how do one handle this volatility because of the tilt in the market?
So there are two ways to make money equity में. या तो आप टाइमिंग पे ध्यान दो या आप प्राइसिंग पे ध्यान दो. So टाइमिंग देखोगे तो मैं एक ही बता सकता हूँ, volatility is going to be very high for sure. It has been very high. I mean, you see the yesterday's market.
Yeah.
And I have been saying it for last couple of months. जब February में bottom हुई थी volatility, तब से कि we have to be prepared to learn to live with this beast. I mean, volatility is going to be very high. When there is so much of uncertainty in the world, you will have one set of people who will say that इतनी uncertainty है, market कैसे ऊपर जा सकता है. There will be other people who will say that I have so much of liquidity. When I compare with US equity valuation, with other emerging market valuation, India looks cheap. Their return expectations are very different than what is the return expectations we have sitting in India and what are other avenues for us. So there'll be a tug of war between all of these things. The uncertainty on the economy side, stimulus side, health crisis on one side, and this liquidity on the other side. Now, as I said, how do you deal with it? Two ways. या तो आप वो timing पे ध्यान दो, keep looking at this news flow and try to time the market, वो easy नहीं है. दूसरा वे कि आप pricing पे ध्यान दो और valuation देखो. If you see a company where you have faith on the business, you have faith on management, you think the valuations are reasonable, and you can look through the uncertainty in the near term, that this business has the resilience to survive this period, has the right kind of resources, has the right kind of risk management, has the right kind of, I would say, ability to reboot themselves. You bet on them and take the worst possible scenario. अभी मेरे को कई लोग पूछते हैं, what is your earnings expectations for 2020-21? It's very difficult. मतलब मैं देने के लिए एक नंबर दे सकता हूँ कितना %, but you think about it that NPA number, credit cost of the financials, which are 30-35% of the market, 2% here and there and make so much of difference. खाली एक SBI का मैं एक नंबर डालूं कुछ NPA इतना होगा कि इतना होगा, that will impact. Tata Motors की earning ये होगी कि ये होगी, global situation देखते हुए. It will have large impact. For oil companies, depending on inventory gain or inventory losses, or commodity companies, I mean, there is so many variables there that predicting at the market aggregate level कि market 18 times पे trade हो रहा है, 20 पे हो रहा है, is not that meaningful. You have to look at bottom up. The stock that you are buying, whether there is resilience for next 1 or 2 years, take the worst possible situation and then see. In India में आपने जो बोला ना 5-7% का तो 2 साल का होता है. But जब आप DCF करते हो Excel sheet पे, valuation करते हो, large part of the valuation come from the money that the company will make, or cash flows on the earnings will come from 2020 to 25 to 30 to 2040 onwards, and the terminal value. Next 1 or 2 year earnings, you take the first possible scenario and do the valuation. I think that's the way to look at this market.
Okay. So now the thing is, there are all our viewers. सबसे important चीज जो आपसे जानना चाहते हैं कि how do people make money? What all are the sectors one should look at? Where are the tailwinds you people are finding or looking at closely or thinking of executing? So if you can enlighten us, that will be really, because
again, sectors. I mean, so I think whatever we discussed, I think some of those sectors would have come out, but I would say be bottom up. मतलब आप अगर मेरे से पूछोगे sectors बताने ही है, so I mean there are few obvious ones like telecom, because of the consolidation that has happened. I mean the pricing power that can come, the kind of data consumption which is increasing in India, and the way convergence can happen over a period of time on the telecom pipe. It is like very interesting, but there are very few plays. I mean just 1 or 2 to play on that. I told you about the rural economy. As of now, looks like rural is in a better shape than the urban India. Monsoon was good. This year monsoon is likely to be good. Water reservoir is good. They have a positive wealth effect. Gold का price 70-80% ऊपर है 5 साल में. उनके पास stocks नहीं है. उनका real estate में इतना पैसा नहीं लगा है. So they are relatively in a better shape. And whatever government is doing now in agricultural reforms, NREGA spending, rural roads, rural housing, digital connectivity, electricity connectivity, road connectivity, all of those I think can turn out to be good. Bottom of the pyramid consumption I think can do well, and consumption में भी नए patterns आएंगे. There are so many disruptions happening. There will be new patterns in consumption. Now everybody is sitting at home. We are feeling higher need for kitchen appliances. We are feeling higher need for some of the home improvement things, and I think people will spend money there as and when they get an opportunity. So whether in consumption, whether in industrials, I mean, as I said, there is a Y2K opportunity for India. We have seen that in chemicals, we have seen that a little bit in electronics manufacturing in India, but there could be other sectors also, so light industrials and maybe in auto ancillaries, etc. Notwithstanding the current slowdown, there are opportunities. Itna supply chain jo shift hoga, I'm not saying that everybody will come and set up base in India, because we are going to compete with Vietnam and you know, the Indonesia and Taiwan and Korea and every other country, but still we will get some share and there will be few beneficiaries from that. Healthcare is one of the I would say space where दुनिया में सब जगह पे, I mean, the healthcare will become one of the prime agenda for everybody. So obviously, I mean, you have a situation where a lot of spending will happen on healthcare. There could be a Y2K movement in India for healthcare. I just give one data point. I mean, India is the vaccine capital of the world. कहीं भी vaccine होगी तो possibility है that manufacturing happens in India. That's an interesting thing. Now, financial space where a big hit has come. But there will be players who will come out stronger from this crisis. I mean, people will feel bigger need for medical insurance, bigger need for health insurance, bigger need for savings product. India mein abhi bhi as a credit to GDP ratio is low. There are challenges in financial sector, which I mentioned earlier, but structural factors are there. I think a stronger players will come out well on the other side of the crisis, and they will take advantage of those opportunities. And digital revolution, which is happening in the world, is absolutely unprecedented. While we are doing these webinars and all of that, but we haven't seen the best of augmented reality, virtual reality, Internet of Things. I mean, the artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics. I can just go on. I think we are going to see a technological revolution over the next few years, and I'm sure India maybe there will be a lot of interesting plays on that. So what I would say is, I mean, I can give you some of these sectors, but that's not important. Abhi kya ho raha hai, log bol rahe hain, next few months, these are the sectors that will be in trouble. These are the sectors that are relatively insulated. Those which are relatively insulated, stock prices are at an all-time high. Those are very badly impacted, stock prices are very low. I would even argue that those are badly impacted in the near term, but there would be players within those sectors who have the ability to survive this crisis. They will take the right steps to come out stronger beyond this crisis, because there will be consolidation in every sector, and you can bet on those also where near-term picture may not look very rosy, but structurally there could be opportunities in those. So I would say focus on bottom up, look at stocks which you wanted to buy, but because of the situation, prices are more reasonable, and then stay with them for a little longer term.
So when we talk about digital, I'll touch upon this point that NASDAQ is hitting all-time high. It's all technology, right? So there is a clear trend probably emerging. And the business models, do you think that they are also changing? Like Amazons of the world, trillion of dollar of market cap. Now their inventories are funded. They don't require anything. So is it a new trend in the digital which is going to emerge, wherein the working capital cycles are not going to be there, and inventory funding probably is not required that way? How do you read these all things? And does India have enough opportunities to play those kind of stories?
So I think India has, and it's up to us. I think it's up to us in terms of policymakers, businesses, society put together. How do we take advantage of this situation? As I said, there could be a very interesting opportunity in the digital space. Our data consumption per capita basis is higher than US, higher than China. India is adopting data in a very, very big way. Over the last few years, with the ubiquitous data, with the computing power which is available now, could be very interesting opportunities across all business. And in India, people have to think creatively, think innovatively, think boldly. Like before 90s, we didn't have an IT industry. We didn't have the kind of healthcare generics opportunity that we took advantage of. And some of the new sectors came up. Similarly, you talked about what's happening in US. I call this Cold War, which is happening between US and China, or a lot of other countries and between China. There are some parallels between the Cold War between US and USSR, or some of those NATO countries and USSR. There was a negative impact of that. The positive impact was what I call the Sputnik movement. USSR said, I will send a person to the space. US said, I'll send a person to the moon. And this space technology in 10, 15 years just leapfrogged. Today, China will say that I have to be dependent on myself for technology. US will say I have to be. And there could be very interesting innovations. India should also play a role because we have the talent in us. I think if we, as a society, policymakers, everybody works hard on R&D, on innovation, with the demand that we have, with the demographics that we have, with the labor pool supply that we have, the way we have adopted data with various businesses. Kisne socha tha that Zoom will become such a big rage in 2 months' time? We didn't know about Zoom. And Skype was a 15-year-old company. Some of us used to use Skype a little bit, and Zoom came out of nowhere. This is a Zoom movement for several businesses. The people who are listening to this webinar, I would only make one comment. This is the Zoom movement for several businesses. The way people will change, the kind of policy disruptions, the kind of disruptions in consumer behavior, disruption in supply and logistics, disruption in digital technology, disruption in various other technologies could be a Zoom movement for several businesses. And that's where we have to think.
Right. So last question, and then we'll get on to participants who want to ask question, is about when we talk about India rebooting, the domestic part of it is what we have captured, and the trends and the sectors and all those things. There is another part to it. In some of your thing you have already talked about, that China, India, and US. So is it, and this has been widely talked about and debated topic, that China getting disfavored from the world fraternity and the developed countries, is it going to be a Y2K movement kind of thing for India? And putting things in context about the fact that I was talking to a couple of foreigners in that as well. So they were saying that in India, the majority of the shift has happened in Vietnam, Thailand, and Indonesia. And that even Chinese company going there and outsourcing their manufacturing facility. Where does India stand in the reset in supply chain? And at a time, the observation also is about the fact that India need to be a country wherein not everybody talks to the foreigner. Whereas in China, only 1% talk to the foreigner or the real person who have invested. So these are some of the hurdles, and not ease of doing business like what is it in Singapore. So how do you read all these things, and does China disfavoring is a Y2K movement for India?
No, absolutely, no doubt about it. And one of the advantage for India is, आप हमारा relation देख लो US से, you see our relationship with any country in the world. I think over a period of time, there is a soft corner for India. We are a very robust democracy with such a large demographics. We are 18% of the humanity. We are one of the largest supplier of the talent pool for all the technological revolutions that are happening in the world. I mean, 1/4 or so of the Silicon Valley is Indians. We are talking about a lot of these successful companies in the world, which are changing the world. Who are running those companies? They are all Indians. So there is a certain respect for Indians world over. There is a certain respect for India, the way we have dealt with this health crisis over a period of time, the way our rank of doing business has improved. Our tax rates have become very favorable for corporate who want to set up base in India, or somebody who's setting up a new manufacturing company at 15% for next 2 years. I think it is very, very favorable. We have taken several steps, but we have to do a lot more. We have to move from a red tape to a red carpet, because we are competing with a lot of other countries. Vietnam एक छोटी सी country है. अब सैमसंग का जो टर्नओवर है वो देख लीजिए, वो हमारी कभी इंडस्ट्रीज के टर्नओवर से ज्यादा है जो वो वियतनाम में प्रोड्यूस करती है. ताइवान छोटी सी कंट्री है, जस्ट लुक एट द साइज ऑफ देयर सेमीकंडक्टर्स और द आईटी इंडस्ट्री. आप उसको देखिए, छोटी छोटी कंट्रीज आप देखिए, यहाँ पर कोरिया देखिए. एंड देन आई मीन सैमसंग स्पेंड्स $14-15 billion ऑन R&D. इंडिया की टॉप 500 कंपनीज खाली $2.5-3-4 billion R&D पे स्पेंड करती है. innovation is very different, and we are going to compete against all of that. But we have shown to the world from a very humble beginning the way our IT industry became like $100 billion industry, the way we took advantage in the healthcare, the way we took advantage in our auto and auto ancillary industries. Now we are seeing some opportunities in chemicals. I hope that Indian entrepreneurs ensures that they have the resilience, they have the right resources, they have the right risk management. The world is going to be very different, and they reimagine themselves. They put the right things in place, right R&D in place. The fourth or fifth R I can put, that we can go and compete in the world. Opportunities are huge. We are just $2,000 per capita in one of the youngest country in the world with 1.35 billion people. This is like one of the big opportunities for the country. And this whole animosity towards China, India can come out stronger, provided we take advantage of this and we don't squander this opportunity. ऐसी opportunity पिछले 70-80 साल में भारत के पास कई बार आई, लेकिन हम उसका advantage नहीं उठा पाए. 91 में जब crisis था, एक हमने नया reboot किया अपने आप को with liberalization, globalization, and then for 25 years we had a good growth. Next 25 years, this is the time to prepare ourselves.
Right. So
we can take some other people's question, because I'm seeing a lot of comments that people are not able to ask questions, and I'm getting requests on both sides, Hindi and English, so I'm trying to combine both of them.
First question, I think Mr. Mahesh Singhi is willing to ask a question, so if we can bring him here in the panel. Yeah, he's there. Mr. Mahesh Singhi runs a M&A advisory firm and 30 years of experience in mergers and acquisitions. So I think, yeah, he's there. Mr. Mahesh ji, if you can put up a question direct to Mr. Navneet Munot. You need to unmute your...
Or people can type in the Q&A box.
Hello. Yeah, can you help me, Navneet ji?
Yes, ji.
Yeah, बस बढ़िया. I have a fundamental question.
हाँ जी.
अपन कंपेयर करते हैं अमेरिका से इंडिया को. अमेरिका में इंटरेस्ट रेट है 0 रेट. इंडिया का इंटरेस्ट रेट तो 10, 12, 14, 15% कुछ भी लग जाता है. Now we generally believe कि जब इक्विटी मजबूत हो रहा है तो बिजनेस भी मजबूत होना चाहिए. बिजनेस मजबूत तब होएगा जब उसकी अर्निंग साइकिल मजबूत हो. तो आप किसी भी, आप एसबीआई के हिस्से हैं, आप किसी भी बैंक में जाइए, आपको बोरो करना टर्म लोन के लिए, यू डोंट गेट लोन मोर देन 5 years clear. सो मैक्सिमम टर्म लोन 5 years, 6 years. 5 साल में लोन को पे करने के लिए आपको बिजनेस को 20% रिटर्न चाहिए.
I know.
So how can it be possible that your business return expectations are 20% for a loan, and equity market where the money should go in the company, the finance, it creates a secondary market volume. And I think this misnomer is the misgap going for the last 30 years has never been solved. Why
absolutely.
Why this loan tenure could not be 15 to 20 years? Because if your equity market is running at 20 times price earning, that means you have a return of 4% without even growth. Right? Yeah. And on the loan side, you expect a period. How?
No, I got your question. So, I mean, we are a risk, there is a shortage of risk capital in India. And you need all kinds of risk capital. The advantage in US is that even if you have a proposition where you know there is no probability or very little probability of making money for 5 years, still somebody gives you money. चाहे वो WeWork हो या चाहे वो कोई भी ऐसा business पैसे बनेंगे कि नहीं. And there are IPOs that have happened where the promoters came and told in the roadshow that we may or may not be able to make money and $50 billion का market cap मिल रहा है आपको. So एक different ecosystem है. I think in India we need to have that. Risk capital, चाहे equity ले लीजिए, long term debt ले लीजिए, there is a shortage. But at the same time, now you are seeing a lot of influx of money from the global participants because they are seeing India as a big opportunity. As I mentioned, all the structural factors that we have in place. I think there is, earlier when I talked about the reforms, financial sector reforms are very critical. How do we make available capital available to entrepreneurs at a reasonable cost, both equity capital and debt capital and everything in between? I mean, all kinds of capital in the capital structure. How do we deepen our bond market? How do we deepen our equity market? How do we deepen our PE and VC market? How do we create financialization of assets, जो ये REITs है, InvITs है, ताकि एक builder को पूरा पैसा उसी asset में नहीं लगाना पड़े. I mean, over a period of time, you create a different kind of model. जो infrastructure developers है, through the InvITs, you create a different kind of model. You just kind of create the asset, monetize it, sell it to long-term investors like pension fund. How do we develop that pension industry, which invest for 20, 30, 40 years? I mean, these are like deeper reforms. But क्या होता है, हमेशा reforms happen when there is a compulsion. अभी जो situation है कि RBI try कर रही है, 7-8 lakh crores they have lent, but still आपको 10% पर भी पैसा नहीं मिल रहा है. This is forcing them to think innovatively and doing things. I'm sure a lot more will happen. I take your questions and we can move to.
Yeah. So धनुष जी, बात सिर्फ cost की नहीं, बात ये भी है कि अधिकतर companies,
availability, cost, all angles are attached to it.
So almost 30% to 50% of the EBITDA earning of the companies goes towards financial services. If that is contained and regulated, the economy anyway survives.
Absolutely. So no, your point is taken. Thank you, Mahesh ji.
Thank you, Mahesh ji, for asking the question. So now we will take up more question. Mr. Santosh Jain. So he is an investor and also he is into charity as well, into Siddhyarthan and Digambar Jain Foundations and those kind of things. So we would be happy to take question. Santosh ji, sir, you can put up question to Mr. Munot. Little bit of time is consumed in unmuting. Yeah, he is there.
Yeah. Good morning, Manoj ji.
Morning.
What is your view about the energy sector? Because in some of the webinars you have highly recommended for energy sector, and particularly about NTPC, Power Grid and various companies into energy sector, because they have not performed in last many years. Another is, what is your view about PSUs? Because they have also not performed in last many years. And another point is, with this, in pharma sector, you have just recommended, apart from these hospitals and other services, in pharma manufacturing, which one you would recommend? Means there are MNCs, there are API companies, there are companies based in US, export including US and India, which has lot of FDA concern, and then there are companies mainly supplying to the Indian market.
Sure.
Out of the four countries.
Sure. Thank you. So you asked about various things. Energy and PSU, they are linked because the stocks that you talked about are from the PSU sector. Broadly, I would say that last few years it has gone through a lot of challenges. I mean, in the energy, from the merchant power rates trading at very high levels, you have a situation where the plant load factor is at a multi-year low. There are challenges with the DISCOMs. They are not able to buy and pay to the generator. Generators have various kinds of challenges. कहीं पे coal linkages issue था, कहीं पर suppose evacuation का issue था and all of that. But over the last few years, I think a lot of things right kind of things in terms of reforms have happened. We need to do a lot more. I briefly touched upon that the additional state government borrowing, one of the criteria for the central government has said is a reform on the DISCOM side, because we have to get the DISCOM, the distribution companies' balance sheets in a right shape for the overall revival of the power sector. One of the, because it is linked with the PSUs, one of the good thing about PSUs is that you don't have to worry about the balance sheet. There is a sovereign backing, their ability to borrow, their ability to raise capital is always there, relative to like some of the other sectors in the on the private side may have a challenge. And I think dividend yields are high. Some of these stocks could be attractive purely from that perspective. I think a higher dividend yield. But energy is abroad, because then you have oil companies, oil marketing companies, then you have these power companies and all kinds of stocks. So there cannot be a one single view on energy. You have to see each of these subsectors and then look at their own fundamentals. Pharma, as I said, healthcare is going to be a big opportunity globally, but there are going to be a lot of innovations also. And then companies that can innovate, companies that can look at these newer opportunities which are coming, I'm sure will come out stronger over a period of time. So healthcare everywhere, every country in the world, every business in the world, healthcare is going to be like #1 priority for the policy for next several years. Whether India can create another Y2K movement, that is yet to be seen. I'm sure some of the companies will do the right things. आपने US FDA का बोला, last few years, I mean, a lot of our companies have seen, I mean, the challenges on that front. I think today, given the situation, a lot of these regulators will have a soft corner, because Indian companies have also learned from the experience over the last few years, have put up the right kind of processes in place. And now US FDA would, I mean, most of the other countries in the world will look at how do we bring down the healthcare cost and how do we reinvest in the healthcare. And there could be opportunities, whether in the generic space or in the other space, for a lot of healthcare. In fact, medical tourism could be a very, very big opportunity for the world, for India, because world over you have an aging population, world over you have an antibiotic resistance which is developing. And there could be, like, given the cost advantage we have in India and the talent pool that we have in the medical sector, if policies are right and some of the companies invest right, it could be a very, very big opportunity for India also. Can we move to the next question?
Great. Thank you so much, Santoshji. Now, the next question we'll take up from Mr. Abhishek Sardaji. So he is also there with us. So he'll put up one question. Yeah, please. Yeah. And can you please unmute yourself? Yeah.
I wanted to ask that over the last 5-10 years, the small caps and the mid caps have relatively underperformed the larger, wider economic mode large caps. So, like, with the government policies coming out, they are trying to favor the MSMEs, but it seems that more of the favor is going to the larger companies which are well established. They can raise capital more.
Good point. Yeah, large cap versus the small cap. Sure.
Yeah.
You know, when there are a lot of big transformational changes, as I talked about earlier, big changes in policy, big changes in geopolitics, big changes in logistics supply chain, big changes in consumer behavior, big changes in technology, big changes in all factors of production. At that point in time, the size that you have of physical assets is less important than your nimbleness and agility. The people who can adapt to the new environment will be a bigger beneficiary than the people who have a large size of assets today. For a smaller player or for a mid-sized player, as long as you have the liquidity and the balance sheet which is fortified to survive this crisis, you don't know because whether the crisis will be for 6 months, for 1 year, for 2 years. If you just have the ability to survive through this crisis and you take the right steps to reinvent yourself, a small guy can actually become bigger than the big guy who's there in the operations today. Because the size gives you certain advantages, size also brings certain amount of other challenges, which is the rigidity. Your ability to reinvent yourself sometimes get challenged if you have a large size, because then people find it very difficult to reboot themselves. I give a class example of 91, and I've seen one of the biggest transformation in 91 in terms of policies here or the way global environment changed with the the telecom connectivity and so on and so forth. And how in India, the large companies who were dominating, if you go back and check the composition of Sensex and Nifty and all, it was all textile companies. I mean, and I don't want to take names of some of the other companies which were part of Sensex and Nifty. Infosys found it difficult to get a small IPO done because people thought, I mean, it's a micro cap company and what is the future of this company? That sector or those companies turned out to be the largest market cap companies. Same thing happened in pharma, same thing happened in media, same thing happened in some of these smaller consumer companies, which ended up becoming very, very large. In 2008, I mean, without taking names, some of the largest financials who were there in terms of market cap versus in the next 10 years, 1 or 2 NBFCs without taking their names, I mean, the stock went up from 200 to like probably 4,000 rupees. And some of the largest companies in terms of the balance sheet size did not deliver any return in that 10-year period. And I can go on and on and on giving examples across sectors. To me, at this point in time, with all of these transformations and one of the biggest crises in human history, will lead to players who have the ability, who have the nimbleness and agility to come out stronger than people who only have the size today. That's why we will not look at a stock whether it's a large cap or a mid cap or a small cap or a micro cap. We will look at a management who has the resilience, who has the risk management, who has the R&D, who have the right resources, and who have the ability to reimagine themselves. Those things are more important, and that's where look for the right management rather than looking at the size only today.
Great. So Navneet, there is a thank you so much, Yash, for putting up the question.
We can extend for a few minutes because I am seeing like in your Q&A there are a lot of questions.
Yeah, we will extend, and there is one compliment for you as well that Navneet ji बहुत अच्छा हिंदी बोलते हैं. So let's take it all in Hindi because lot of demand is coming to speak in Hindi. तो अपने हिंदी में questions लेते हैं. Next is from Kishore Kabya Jain. He want to ask a question. So if you can take him on panel. Yes, Kishore ji, you can unmute yourself and put up a question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Jai Jinendra Navneet ji. It is always good to hear you, sir. I just want to ask one question. We have everything in our portfolios. We have shares, we have mutual fund, we have gold, we have reality. But after COVID-19, can we think we can invest in agriculture land? That's just one suggestion because I am in a agriculture business. We have near about 5,000 plus acres of land in Maharashtra. Relating to that, I am asking this question to you, sir. Thank you.
Sure. So, agriculture, I mean, land is a very small part of the investment. I think it's more about, as I've been talking of different sectors, in terms of innovation. India में price discovery और value addition दोनों में challenge है. Because the way the entire logistics system works, the way the kind of rigidities are there, the interstate, intra-state movements, etc. We have to go through that APMC channel. Also, in terms of value addition, is very limited because scale of operation नहीं है India में. आपने से बताया 5,000 acres, but ऐसे बहुत कम लोग हैं जिनके पास वो scale है. Because अगर scale नहीं होगा, तो आप invest नहीं कर सकते हो. आप यूएस का और इंडिया का कंपैरिजन देखिए. हमारा फूड प्रोडक्शन यूएस का और इंडिया का ज्यादा डिफरेंट नहीं होगा. यूएस में शायद 25-50 लाख लोग भी नहीं होंगे जो एग्रीकल्चर करते हैं. इंडिया में 20-25 करोड़ लोग हैं उतना ही फूड प्रोड्यूस करने के लिए. तो बहुत सारी इनएफिशिएंसी है सिस्टम में क्योंकि ऑन एन एवरेज 1 एकड़ या 2 एकड़ जमीन है तो आपके पास कैपेसिटी नहीं है कि आप इन्वेस्ट कर सको फार्म इक्विपमेंट में या राइट काइंड ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी और आप उसको इन्वेंट कर सको, सप्लाई चेन बना सको, लॉजिस्टिक्स बना सको, फिर उसमें फूड प्रोसेसिंग वैल्यू एडिशन कर सकते हो. मुझे ऐसा लगता है इंडिया के पास एक बहुत अपॉर्चुनिटी है. वी हैव द पीपल, we have the land, we have right kind of different kinds of soil condition, weather condition. Our ability to innovate on food processing side and become a large export powerhouse in the world is very interesting. World में there is so much of discussion around. अभी तो हम बात करें पूरी कोविड से लॉकडाउन की, आइसोलेशन की या प्रोटेक्टिव गियर की. Ultimately, to fight against COVID, you only have to do one thing, which is build immunity. How do you build immunity? You build immunity yoga से, you build immunity right kind of eating, right kind of mindfulness and all. और वही इंडिया की स्ट्रेंथ है. उसको हम किस तरह से $100 billion IT इंडस्ट्री बना सकते हैं, whether our Indian food, Indian way of living, Indian way of eating, Indian way of greeting and everything, can we create that also a big industry for the world? There is a potential for India. So I would say yes, interesting times are ahead for agriculture also.
Okay, great. So thank you, Kavya ji. So the next question we will take from Mr. Mitesh Mehta. So if we can put him, he is an investor. So send it.
If they can put up in Q&A box and then you can read.
I'll read one before that. Mr. Manish Bakliwal had a question and he was saying that what will be the impact of China on our industry, which is completely dependent on Chinese import.
So मैंने जैसा बोला, I think पूरे वर्ल्ड में एक चीज होगी that you don't want to be over dependent on one single supply chain. जो एक efficiency versus reliability, एक ऐसा टाइम लोगों ने देखा है पिछले कुछ महीने में जहां पर reliability is now more important then super efficiency और hyper efficiency. And जो optimization, just in time management वगैरह जो पिछले कई सालों में लोग देख रहे थे, उसकी जगह पर ऐसा होगा reliability, that you diversify your supply chain, and वहाँ पर हो सकता है इंडिया के लिए एक opportunity हो. Another opportunity for India, because India itself is a large domestic market which will keep growing over a period of time. So why don't, I mean, something that you are selling in India, why don't you produce that in India only? We have to create right kind of environment. We have to create right kind of infrastructure. We have to provide capital at the right price and create that ecosystem. Keep India made that supply chain can come from China. So there is a high likelihood, but as I mentioned earlier, we have to compete with a lot of other countries. We have to do a better job than all the other countries to get that market share in India.
Great. So Ms. Mitesh Mehta is also there. So if you can switch on your video as well, and Mitesh, yeah.
Yeah. So good afternoon, Navneet ji.
Good afternoon.
So I think the one question which I would like to ask you is that earnings in India have been extremely sticky over the last 7 years. If you see 2013, it was 1350 Sensex earnings, which is now 1800 in say the historical part. So and this year also perhaps hardly we will see much earnings growth. So we are 19 times historical earnings and maybe 17 times even if we take 22. So as investors, see, to be very frank with you, 70-80% of our portfolios are like, 40-50% erosion is there in mid-cap values. We can't do too much of churning. So the option is that we do large cap investments, maybe nearing 9,000 Nifty and reducing at 10.5, 10.3. Or else, do you feel that the time has come to now start identifying good quality, liquid, even mid-cap stocks for concentrated position for next 2-3 years? Or you would still suggest that right now we should be in more liquid, large caps, and for the remaining portfolio we can wait? And this is the strategy question. That's it.
So I think I gave that answer hugely, I mean, in deep detail about the large cap versus mid and small cap. I don't think this is the time to look at large versus mid versus small cap. It's about the right business, right management, and right valuation, regardless of the market cap. It can be a micro cap company. Zoom was a very small player. Did you hear about Zoom 2 months back? I did not hear about it. And out of nowhere, it has taken such a large size of opportunity. This Zoom movement is there for a lot of businesses globally as well as in India. You have to bet on the right management. I mean, you're from Calcutta, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I come from Rajasthan, and in my place, Shree Cement got set up in like 1980s. Most of the cement companies who were there in the Rajasthan during that period, several of them have gone into BIFR. And from a 3 crore capital raise, that became like 1,000 or 2,000 times of value creation in the same industry. And I can give you several examples. This is not a stock recommendation or a stock name. The point I'm trying to make in India very clear is that you bet on the right management. Of course, it has to be a large size of opportunity, a good business dynamics and all. But a management can always create a moat in India because the size of opportunity across businesses is so large. It was a micro cap company versus some of the large cap cement companies, but ended up being better. And I can give you examples. I gave the example of Infosys versus others. I can tell you about the pharma. Some of the micro cap companies became the large cap, and some of the reasonable sized pharma companies, I mean, they don't even exist today. And that goes across sectors. Aapka first question was on profit pool, which is a great question because in this is not 7 years. I think this is more like a 10 years now. And I wrote it 2 years back that whether India's growth is jobless or not is a hot debate, but it is profitless is a cold reality, which is not good for the society. Your economy cannot continue to flourish if people are not able to make profits. You have to create profit pools for the entrepreneurs who are taking legitimate kind of risk. A lot of profit pools got created through crony capitalism, which wasn't good. And then we had to do a lot of correction, which happened, let's say, from 2015 onwards in terms of regulatory outreach or judicial outreach or administrative outreach and lots of tightening that we did. We have paid a price for that. Over a long period, I hope with ease of doing business, with lower corporate tax rate, now no dividend distribution tax, and then some of the other measures that we are doing to bring more transparency. If we combine that with like how do we really unleash the entrepreneurial energy in India, that rather than kind of keeping lots of bureaucratic or administrative or judicial and the other regulatory hurdles against profits, that if somebody is making money, he or she may be doing something wrong. We move away from that mindset. This is very critical. Why US, you have these $1 trillion companies and the US markets are at an all-time high. 2 or 3 companies of theirs is bigger than the total GDP of India. We are 18% of humanity, because they don't feel bad if somebody is making money or somebody is creating their profit pools. Again, it has to be in a legitimate manner. It should not come at the cost of throttling the competition or by taking disadvantage of certain policies or proximity to the policy makers. I mean, that was not the right way where some of the industries were making money. But we have to think very hard, how do we get back to higher profitability in India? Over the last 7 or 8 years, every year analysts start with an estimate of 20% profit growth, and क्वार्टर जैसे जैसे खत्म होता है वो 15, 10 और 5 पे आ जाता है सिंगल डिजिट. आपने सही नंबर बोला, 7 और 8 साल से डाउनग्रेड. पिछले 2 साल से अगर आप मेरे को कभी भी सुनते तो मैं यही बोलता कि 2 या 3 क्वार्टर में बॉटम हो जाएगा. ये तो एनपीए की वजह से था, ये तो कमोडिटी प्राइसेस की वजह से था, ये तो ऑयल कंपनी का इन्वेंट्री लॉसेस आ गया, ये तो कोई ग्लोबल टाटा मोटर्स की लॉस की वजह से हो गया. मतलब वी ऑलवेज हैड सम और द अदर गुड एक्सक्यूज कि यार सेंसेक्स की एंडिंग में क्या प्रॉब्लम है. बट वी हैव टू थिंक हार्ड दैट हाउ डू वी क्रिएट लार्ज प्रॉफिट पूल्स, बिकॉज अगर प्रॉफिट नहीं है तो इन्वेस्टमेंट नहीं आएगा. व्हाई वुड एन एंटरप्रेन्योर put all of his money and energy and resources and family time and every single thing, borrow money, take the risk, if he doesn't know that he or she is going to make money? So I think as a society, this is a very important question for all of us. I spoke a little longer on your question because I've written about it in my last monthly note. If you have written, I write a full paragraph, and I've written it earlier also. We have to create profit pools in a legitimate manner where people can take advantage, because तभी लोग रिस्क लेंगे और तभी इन्वेस्टमेंट बढ़ेगा, तभी जॉब्स क्रिएट होंगे, तभी इनकम बढ़ेगी, तो ही वापस इन्वेस्टमेंट आएगा. फॉर गेटिंग दैट वर्चुअस साइकिल, प्रॉफिट्स इज एन इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mitesh ji, for asking the question. Now, one question which is on the chat box, I can read. Samriddhi Tapadia wanted to ask a question. Don't you think labor law changes की कोई जरूरत है इंडिया में?
So दोनों साइड पे आप डिबेट कर सकते हो. एक साइड पे कर सकते हो कि I mean, you need to take good care of your labor. You don't want to have a situation where, I mean, you go from one extreme to absolutely other extreme. The other way to look at it, how do you make it an easier for a good, legitimate entrepreneur to run their business? तो आज जो लैंड एक्विजिशन एक्ट है, हमारे जो कॉम्प्लेक्स लेबर लॉज हैं, कोई बॉयलर लॉ है, मतलब आज जो एक हम कंपनी से जब बात करते हैं, अगर आप एक होटल चालू करते हो, द नंबर ऑफ लाइसेंसेस दैट यू नीड, द नंबर ऑफ फाइलिंग्स दैट यू नीड, the number of reportings, the number of inspectors that come to your office, I mean, a lot of your time and energy goes there. How you can make it easier? So आप धीरे धीरे रेगुलेशन को कम करिए और सुपरवाइजरी कैपेबिलिटी को अच्छी बनाइए, ट्रांसपेरेंसी लाइए सिस्टम में, वो जरूरी है. मुझे लगता है चाहे अगर आप लैंड रिफॉर्म्स हो, लेबर रिफॉर्म्स हो, लिक्विडिटी रिफॉर्म्स, और जो प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने the fourth is law reforms, मुझे लग रहा है धीरे धीरे both central government and state governments are moving towards that, and hopefully you'll have a very interesting time on the reform side.
So one question from the panelist is with regard to IT. Do you see any kind of consolidation हो सकता है IT में, and with the digital theme and all?
मैं ऐसा कोई भी सेक्टर नहीं सोच सकता हूँ जिसमें कंसोलिडेशन नहीं होएगा. इतना बड़ा क्राइसिस है, इतना बड़ा P&L रिसेशन होएगा कि काफी बिजनेसेस सरवाइव नहीं कर पाएंगे. अगर बैलेंस शीट में कैपेसिटी नहीं है, अगर आपका कपल ऑफ मंथ्स मॉरेटोरियम देने के बाद भी काफी बिजनेसेस में चैलेंज आएगा हर सेक्टर में, तो कंसोलिडेशन होएगा. एक तो उस वजह से. दूसरा, जो एक न्यू वे ऑफ डूइंग थिंग्स आएगा. आज वर्क फ्रॉम होम है, तो एक साइबर सिक्योरिटी विल बिकम अ बिगर इशू फॉर द वर्ल्ड. ये वायरस, हमने एक हेल्थ वायरस देखा, लेकिन अगला वायरस जो है किसको पता, अगर ऐसा ही अगर एक कंप्यूटर वायरस आ गया तो आज एटलीस्ट हम वेबिनार कर पा रहे हैं, वो भी नहीं करेंगे बिकॉज आपको डर लगेगा अपना मोबाइल फोन खोलते हुए भी, अपना वेबिनार करते हुए भी, तो वर्ल्ड कैसे डील करेगा उस वायरस को। तो उसके लिए बड़ा इन्वेस्टमेंट चाहिएगा, वर्क फ्रॉम होम के लिए एक बड़ा इन्वेस्टमेंट चाहिएगा। जो मैंने बोला आपको, चाहे वो मशीन लर्निंग है, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस है, ऑगमेंटेड रियलिटी है, वर्चुअल रियलिटी है, क्लाउड कंप्यूटिंग है, मतलब रोबोटिक्स है, इंटरनेट ऑफ थिंग्स है, ये बढ़ने ही वाली है, ये बढ़ने ही वाली है आगे जाके। तो इंडियन कंपनीज के लिए बहुत बड़ी अपॉर्चुनिटीज है, जो राइट इन्वेस्ट कर पाएंगे, जो राइट अपने बिजनेस को चेंज कर पाएंगे। जो हमने एक Y2K की कोडिंग करी, वो एक बॉडी शॉपिंग, एक आर्बिट्राज था, लेकिन कई कंपनीज ने करी। अगर आप 2000 का याद करोगे मार्केट, 99 2000 का बूम, तो सैकड़ों आईटी कंपनीज थी, कुछ अच्छी करी जिन्होंने आगे जाकर के बहुत प्रोग्रेस करी, कई थी जो आज एग्जिस्ट भी नहीं करती है। I think same thing will happen again in the IT sector. There is a big opportunity in digital technology globally. Some companies will take advantage, some will not be able to take advantage.
The next question now is from Vikas, and he wanted your opinion precious metal play. As it is completely not in line with physical market now and very well. What is your view?
फिजिकल मार्केट, वो MCX का तो मेरे को नहीं पता है, आई डोंट नो दैट। ऑल आई कैन टॉक अबाउट गोल्ड एज एन एसेट क्लास। अगर आप वर्ल्ड में जो सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज देखोगे, द अमाउंट ऑफ मनी विच इज गेटिंग प्रिंटेड, सेंट्रल बैंक्स लाइक ऐसा 100, 200, 500 बिलियन ट्रिलियन डॉलर्स, वी आर टॉकिंग लाइक अ लूज चेंज टुडे। If so much of money is printed, every government in the world is borrowing so much of money, trillions of dollars are getting borrowed. As of now, central bank support करके interest rates को zero पे रख रहे हैं, but at some point in time, somebody has to repay that debt. And उस क्वेश्चन में एक ही करना होगा गवर्नमेंट्स को वर्ल्ड ओवर, कैसे भी इन्फ्लेशन लाना पड़ेगा। इन्फ्लेशन के जरिए आप उसकी नॉमिनल रियल वैल्यू को, डेट को कम कर दीजिए। तो उस कंडीशन में जब एक कंपेटिटिव डिवैल्यूएशन होएगा, लोगों का फेथ अगर कम हो गया करेंसीज पर, तो गोल्ड तो सेंट्रल बैंक्स प्रिंट नहीं कर सकते। दे कैन प्रिंट करेंसी, दे कैन प्रिंट लॉट ऑफ, दे कैन गिव लोन्स, दे कैन गिव मॉरेटोरियम, दे कैन नॉट प्रिंट गोल्ड। तो गोल्ड की वैल्यू उस कंडीशन में बढ़ सकती है अगर जियोपॉलिटिकल रिस्क बढ़ती है। जो आज चाइना का काफी कंट्रीज के साथ इंक्लूडिंग इंडिया जियोपॉलिटिकल क्राइसिस, अगर वो कोई क्राइसिस बढ़ गया, कुछ नॉर्थ कोरिया में हो गया, अगर ऑयल का प्राइस $30-40 रहता है, तो बहुत सारी कंट्रीज हैं जिनकी पूरी सोसाइटी ऑयल के प्राइस पर डिपेंडेंट है। $30-40 पर वो सोसाइटी में बहुत प्रॉब्लम हो सकता है, बड़ा पॉलिटिकल क्राइसिस आ सकता है। और ये सब ऑथोरिटेरियन रिजीम है, ये सब ऑटोक्रेटिक रिजीम्स है, तो वो कुछ और गलत रिएक्ट कर सकती है। तो अगर ये सब रिस्क के सामने अगर आपको हेज करना है, तो गोल्ड या सिल्वर, सिल्वर थोड़ा बहुत अंडर परफॉर्म करा है, बट हो सकता है अगर इंडस्ट्रियल रिकवरी थोड़ी आए तो सिल्वर भी ठीक करे। गोल्ड सिल्वर का रेशो बहुत फेवरेबल हो गया अभी, सो गोल्ड सिल्वर हो सकता है अच्छा करे, बट वो एक हेजिंग है। अगर वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमी ठीक हो जाती है, ये हेल्थ क्राइसिस ठीक हो जाता है, ग्लोबल इकोनॉमी नॉर्मल सी में आ जाती है, तो गोल्ड के प्राइस थोड़े नीचे चले जाएंगे। बट आपको एक हेजिंग के हिसाब से कि अगर सब कुछ गलत हो गया तो आपका स्टॉक मार्केट खराब करेगा, हो सकता है इंडिया में बॉन्ड्स भी अच्छा नहीं करे, बिकॉज हो सकता है FI की सेलिंग आए, रुपी वीक हो, उस कंडीशन में गोल्ड अच्छा करेगा। तो वो एक इंश्योरेंस पॉलिसी के हिसाब से गोल्ड लेना डेफिनेटली बनता है, अगर लोअर प्राइसेस पे एवरेज करके। बट आई मीन डिस्पाइट द फैक्ट दैट फिजिकल बाइंग कम होगी, ज्वेलरी बाइंग कम होगी इंडिया की, चाइना की, बाकी वर्ल्ड की, बट फिर भी इन्वेस्टमेंट बाइंग धीरे धीरे बढ़ती रहेगी। और वो इन्वेस्टमेंट बाइंग की वजह से सम अलोकेशन टू गोल्ड इज इंटरेस्टिंग। गोल्ड में क्या होता है, कंपाउंडिंग नहीं है, कोई इंटरेस्ट तो मिलता नहीं है। गोल्ड ऑन ए लाइटर नोट वर्क होना है, मैंने इतने पॉजिटिव बोल दी, गोल्ड के नेगेटिव बोलूंगा, बिगर फूल थ्योरी पर वर्क करता है कि कोई आपको ज्यादा प्राइस दे देगा वो बार का, और या वो बिस्किट का, या ETF अगर हमारे यहाँ लगा रहे हो तो वो कोई इनकम नहीं आएगी। बॉन्ड में इनकम आती है, इक्विटी में इनकम आती है, बट जस्ट एज अ हेजिंग इट मेक्स सेंस टू हैव सम गोल्ड और सिल्वर इन द पोर्टफोलियो।
At present, if you look at the gold CAGR last 20-25 साल का, मेरे ख्याल से 10-11% CAGR होगा।
अलग अलग टाइम पीरियड होते हैं, आप 2080 से 2002 लोगे तो अलग पिक्चर मिलेगी। गोल्ड $800 पर पीक होकर के 20 साल में धीरे 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 $250 पर आ गया था। वहाँ 250 से हम अभी फिर मतलब 1900 गए, वहां से $1100 आ गए, फिर वापस अभी $1700 आ गए। सो डिपेंड करता है आप कौन सा पीरियड देख रहे हो।
बट INR में परफॉर्मेंस इज मच बेटर, आई थिंक,
बिकॉज रुपी डेप्रिसिएट हो गया। हाँ,
Now, next question is Sandeep Jain ji ka hai. He is asking that your views on AMC industry and LIC industry. Can they grow in excess of 15% CAGR in terms of its top line for next 5-10 years? What metrics should be used to check on margin of safety? What are the negative we should watch on this?
So इंश्योरेंस और सेविंग्स का एक ही बोलूंगा दैट अगर हम जितने भी अभी अगर आप सर्वे रिजल्ट्स वगैरह देखोगे व्हेन यू आर आस्किंग पीपल व्हेन दे आर सिटिंग एट होम कि आपकी क्या प्रायोरिटीज हैं, तो लोग बोलेंगे हेल्थ प्रायोरिटी है, सेविंग्स प्रायोरिटी है, प्रोटेक्शन प्रायोरिटी है. तो लोगों का एक ध्यान बढ़ा है उसकी तरफ. Having gone through the crisis, having gone through this lockdown, etc., the perception about life has undergone a change. I'm sure people are going to pay a lot more attention to it from that perspective. इंडिया में अगर आप पेनिट्रेशन देखेंगे तो 8 करोड़ फॉल्यू है म्यूचुअल फंड इन्वेस्टर्स के, बट अगर आप यूनिक पैन देखोगे तो खाली 2.5 करोड़ इन्वेस्टर्स हैं. देयर आर ओनली 2.5 करोड़ यूनिक इन्वेस्टर्स in mutual fund industry out of, let's say, 1.35 billion people over a period of time. There is a lot of opportunity in the asset management industry, but again, in every industry you are seeing this one player versus other player. I mean, 10-12 years back we were a $5 billion AMC, we have become a $100 billion industry. मैं नाम नहीं लूंगा, कुछ ऐसी AMC होगी जो उस टाइम पर 5 billion थी, आज 5 billion भी नहीं है. So again, you have to bet on the right kind of players. And insurance, again, I mean, there are opportunities. Valuations are not cheap, definitely, in India when you compare from a global standard. But I think what market is pricing in is a huge amount of growth for a very long period of time.
There is one question from Manisha. This Manisha Bihani. It is extremely enriching to learn from you. I have a simple question. Why don't we have a USD 500 billion market cap company in India? We are FI dependent, export oriented, and now need to be domestic oriented. What would be the way to identify business that could survive this? Zoom originated out of opportunity. Would it be only the management, but a revamp? I am strategy and adaptability needs to be seeded for.
No, absolutely. I think you have to look at it from this perspective. So we are at now, because from $3 trillion hone wale the, but because of the slowdown and rupee has depreciated, we are now more closer to 2.6 or $2.7 trillion economy this year. But we are only $2,000 per capita. Abhi yahan se hum at some point in time will be at $4,000 per capita. आज हम जहाँ पर हैं, अगर आप पर कैपिटा वगैरह से कंपेयर करोगे, in lot of factors, US 1950s में था. जापान देखोगे तो आप शायद 1970s होगा, यूके 1960s होगा. अगर आप कोरिया, ताइवान वगैरह देखोगे तो 1980s में थे यहाँ पर वो, और चाइना देखोगे तो करीब 15 साल पहले था. आज के 15, 20, 25, 30, 40 साल बाद can India be at that stage? I think India can be at that stage. We have the democracy, we have demography, we have demand, we have digitalization, and I think a lot of these changes that are happening in the world could be very interesting opportunity for India. हमने हिस्ट्री में कई बार वो अपॉर्चुनिटीज मिस करी है. मैं होप करता हूँ इस बार हम उसको मिस नहीं करें. तो आई एम श्योर वी विल आल्सो क्रिएट दोस काइंड ऑफ लार्ज कंपनीज व्हिच आर देयर इन यूएस, व्हिच आर देयर. आप चाइना के मार्केट कैप देखिए, some of the companies, the way they build their market cap. You see in some of the smaller countries, I mean, smaller in terms of population, the kind of innovative companies, whether in Taiwan or in Korea, or you look at large number of companies in Japan, etc. By the way, if you look at number of companies with less than $500 million market cap, India is among the top 5-7 countries in the world, and within that, the consistent compounder, अगर आप देखोगे, companies जिन्होंने पैसा compound किया है 15, 17, 18% over a 10-year period, India has decent number of companies within that, relative to a lot of other developed markets also.
That's really optimistic. So what do you say now? We should go for the conclusion, and the last question, and after that we'll conclude, is your final advice to retail investors, because they are the one they seriously require your advice. हिंदी में अगर आप बताओ.
So हमने इतने क्राइसिस देखे हैं हिस्ट्री में, एज अ कंट्री बता रहा हूँ, एज अ कंट्री हमने इतने क्राइसिस देखे हैं, 1000 साल की हिस्ट्री देख लीजिए. मैं आपको 25-30 साल की मेरी एज एन इन्वेस्टर की हिस्ट्री बता सकता हूँ कि 1984 से 91 तक 2 प्राइम मिनिस्टर्स वर शॉट डेड. वी सॉ ऑल ऑफ दी चैलेंजेस. वो जब मंडल कमीशन वाले राइट्स थे, और जब बोफोर स्कैंडल था, 91 का बीओपी क्राइसिस हो गया. देन वी सॉ कपल ऑफ दोस कोलिशन गवर्नमेंट्स, एक साइड पर लेफ्ट है, एक साइड पर राइट है, और जो पीएम है उनके पास number of seats ही नहीं है. We saw those coalition governments, we saw the Asian crisis, we saw the sanctions against India in Pokhran blast. हमने वो 2000 का IT बस देखा, 9/11 देखा, सबसे बड़ा फाइनेंशियल क्राइसिस सेंचुरी का 2008 में देखा, ग्लोबल फाइनेंशियल क्राइसिस, सबसे बड़ा जियोपॉलिटिकल क्राइसिस 50 साल का जो 9/11 में देखा, हमने कारगिल वॉर देखी. मैं आपको कंटिन्यूस में ऐसे 25 मिनट तक मैं खाली आपको यही बता सकता हूँ कि हमने वन आफ्टर अनदर कितने क्राइसिस देखे 35 साल में, और 100 से सेंसेक्स 40,000 पहुंच गया इस टाइम में. आप हर क्राइसिस के बाद सोच सकते थे कि यार ये तो एंड ऑफ द वर्ल्ड है, ये तो यार बहुत प्रॉब्लम अगले कई सालों तक, बट हमने हमेशा उसको सर्कमवेंट किया है. एज अ कंट्री आप 1000 साल की हिस्ट्री देखोगे तो मतलब इससे तो कई गुना बड़े बड़े क्राइसिस आए होंगे, लेकिन हमारे एंटरप्रेन्योर्स ने, हमारी बिजनेस कम्युनिटी ने, हमारे सिटीजन्स ने, आई मीन वी हैव ओनली ग्रोन एंड वी हैव ओनली गॉन अहेड. आप पूरे वर्ल्ड को देखोगे, मैं आपको एक अच्छा एनालॉजी देता हूँ, क्योंकि हम एक हेल्थ क्राइसिस देख रहे हैं जो एक सिमिलर है स्पेनिश इन्फ्लुएंजा जो हुआ था 1917-18 के उस टाइम में. तो वर्ल्ड में बहुत ही बड़े हेल्थ क्राइसिस थे. इनफैक्ट काफी लोग कलकत्ता से हैं, मेरे को ऐसा बोला गया है राजस्थान में कि उस टाइम पर ज्यादातर लोग बॉम्बे नहीं आते थे, कलकत्ता जाते थे, जो इमिग्रेंट्स मारवाड़ी एंटरप्रेन्योर्स हैं, बिकॉज बॉम्बे में काफी इस तरह के हेल्थ क्राइसिस थे, and people used to prefer Calcutta at that time, and that's why Calcutta flourished more relative to Bombay. But because of those crises, Bombay got redeveloped and reimagined, and जो sanitation system, sewage system and ये सब जो बने वो उस टाइम पे बने. लंदन में भी जितना डेवलपमेंट हुआ वो प्लेग वगैरह जो प्रॉब्लम थी, हेल्थ क्राइसिस, उसकी वजह से बना. तो हर क्राइसिस में एक नया रीडेवलपमेंट होता है, एक नया रीइमेजिनिंग होता है. You have to take that longer term view. You have to stay invested patiently. As I said, look at the right companies if you have the patience and the resources to do it. Otherwise, I mean, our kind of fund managers are there to help you in achieving your financial goals, and then remain very, very disciplined on that. That discipline, that focus on long term, that optimism on long term is important. Prepare for the worst. And that's why right kind of asset allocation, आप कितना लॉस ले सकते हो पोर्टफोलियो में, 1 साल में 2 साल में, कितनी लिक्विडिटी चाहिए, हेजिंग करनी है कोई गोल्ड वगैरह की तरह से, कितना asset allocation को डाइवर्सिफाई कर सकते हो. Prepare for the worst and hope for the worst and hope for the best. Then only you can remain a realist. I can only tell you one thing. कितने भी अभी कितने ये बादल घने रहेंगे ये नहीं पता है, कितने काले रहेंगे ये नहीं पता है, डार्क क्लाउड्स है, ये कितने टाइम रहेंगे पता नहीं है. लेकिन एक पता है कि जितनी बार भी डार्क क्लाउड्स आते हैं, अल्टीमेटली शाइनिंग सन आ जाता है. ये आज तक की मिलियन ईयर्स की और बिलियंस ऑफ ईयर्स की हिस्ट्री है. कितने भी डार्क क्लाउड्स हो, अल्टीमेटली शाइनिंग सन आता है. यू हैव टू बिलीव इन ह्यूमन इंजेन्युइटी, विल फाइंड गुड सॉल्यूशंस टू इट. मार्केट के लिए लास्ट 2 ही लाइन बोलूंगा. एक होवर्ड मार्क्स का बहुत अच्छा कोट है. अभी जो माहौल होता है उसमें आपको लगता है कब लगा दें, बाजार गिर रहा है, तो मार्च में बोलते थे कि यार वैल्यूएशन अच्छा है, ज्यादा अगर आप वेट कर सकते हो, अगर आप ज्यादा नहीं डरते हो. मेरे को नहीं पता है 6 महीने में बाजार रिवर्स होगा कि 1 साल में होगा कि 2 साल में होगा, बट वैल्यूएशंस अच्छे हैं. तो एक होवर्ड मार्क्स का बहुत अच्छा कोट है कि बॉटम को कैसे कैच करें. तो वो बोलते हैं कि when the knife stops falling, when the knife stops falling, when the dust settles, when there is clarity on the horizon, when the knife stops falling, when the dust settles, when there is absolute clarity on the horizon, you can be rest assured there won't be any bargains left. Bargain तो तब मिलते हैं जब बहुत अनसर्टेनिटी हो. अच्छा प्राइस और अच्छी न्यूज कभी भी साथ में नहीं आती है. जितनी न्यूज खराब होएगी उतना ही प्राइस अच्छा होएगा, जितनी न्यूज अच्छी होएगी प्राइस उतना अच्छा नहीं होएगा, बिकॉज जो आपको बेचने वाला है वो खराब न्यूज पढ़ रहा है इसलिए वो आपको बेच रहा है. सो यू हैव टू बी टेक दैट व्यू एंड आई थिंक इन्वेस्ट पेशेंटली. सो आई थिंक जो SIP है, सिस्टमेटिक इन्वेस्टमेंट प्लान, उसका एक दूसरा तरीका भी है, स्टे इन्वेस्टेड पेशेंटली.
And take the help of professionals, that is more important.
बिल्कुल, एब्सोल्युटली. सो प्रोफेशनल एडवाइजर्स की इंपॉर्टेंस है. अगर आज जैसे हेल्थ में होता है, यू नीड द राइट काइंड ऑफ एडवाइजर्स टू बिल्ड द राइट हेल्थ. सेम थिंग इज व्हेन यू डील विद द मनी. अब जब हम बीमार होते हैं तो वी टेक द राइट एडवाइस ऑफ अ डॉक्टर. द डॉक्टर सजेस्ट कि यार कौन सी मेडिसिन लेती है, तो आप मेडिसिन मैन्युफैक्चरर के यहाँ जाते हो. तो हम लोग वो मेडिसिन मैन्युफैक्चरर है. मेरे यहाँ लार्ज कैप भी है, मल्टी कैप भी है, स्मॉल कैप भी है, लिक्विड भी है, ओवरनाइट भी है, गोल्ड ETF भी है, क्रेडिट रिस्क भी है. यू नीड अ राइट एडवाइजर हु कैन सजेस्ट यू कि आपके ये फाइनेंशियल गोल्स है, इतने साल के लिए इन्वेस्ट करना है, इतना लमसम लगाना है, ये एसेट क्लास में लगाना है, इतनी SIP करनी है, ये फंड में करनी है, and they do that. So importance of advisor should not be underestimated when you deal with your financial issues, when you deal with your money related issues.
Okay, finally we will conclude with the wit and wisdom of Charlie Munger, and today the topic was India rebooting, so I thought to put it something which will be quite amply related to what the topic was. So he says that incentives are what drive human behavior. Understanding incentives is the key to understanding people. Conversely, failing to recognize the importance of incentives often leads us to make major errors. So incentive at this point in time to get back the laborers who have gone back home.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल
Powerful tool. So,
and ये जो सब community जो लोग आपके साथ हैं, I think one of the thing I would praise and be very happy that the way community has come to help people, चाहे वो migrant laborer हो, चाहे जो आज bottom of the pyramid है society की, जो अलग अलग जगहों पर जिस तरह की help society ने करी है, I think वो एक बहुत ही unique हमने एक social capital India में build करी है और उसकी बहुत importance है long run में जाकर के.
Great. With this, I would thank Mr. Navneet Munod. Thank you so much for candidly answering all the questions, taking up all the questions.
Thank you.
Very nice.